Welcome to Module 4, Lesson 1, Unit Rates. So we're going to talk about unit rates and how to compute unit rates associated with ratios of fractions. So we've talked about unit rates before and how unit rates have to have or be compared to have something compared to 1. Well, these unit rates, or the rates we're going to work with, are going to have fractions in them. So I've talked about, yes, we're going to be able to use calculators, but sometimes calculators aren't going to be very useful because of the fact that we're working with fractions. So we're going to have to be able to use some of those hand calculating skills. All right, so we're going to take a look at this with using pictures, because sometimes when we can visualize it, it starts to make more sense. So if Jeff hikes half a mile every 15 minutes or 1/4 of an hour, because remember, if you take a look at a clock, 15 minutes, so here's 15 minutes, here's another 15, another 15, and another 15, so that's 1/4 of an hour, okay? And Lisa hikes 1/3 mile every 10 minutes or every 1/6 of an hour. How far do they each hike in 1 hour? Okay, and how far do they each hike in 2 hours? So we're going to use the bar diagram to help us determine how many miles Jeff hikes in that time frame. Okay, so in 1/4 of an hour, he goes half of a mile. Well, in 1 hour, there has to be 1, 2, 3, 4/4 of an hour. So in each of those 4/4, there has to be half of a mile. So here's another half, here's another half, and here's another half. Half plus half is 1, plus half is 1.5, plus another half is 2. So in total, this would be 2 miles. So this would be a total of 2 miles. So in 1 hour, he would hike 2 miles. Okay? So looking at this, we could say in 1/4 of an hour, he would hike half a mile. In half of an hour, he would go 1 mile. In 3/4 of an hour, so here, he would go 1 1/2 miles. In 1 hour, we said he went 2 miles. So then in 2 hours, he would go double that, which would be 4 miles. Let's do the same thing for Lisa. So Miss Lisa, in 1/6 of an hour, so again, to make a whole hour, you would need 6 sixths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In one of those sixths, she goes 1/3 of a mile. So 1/3. Okay, so now, once she's gone another 1/6 of an hour, she's gone another 1/3. So that's 2/3. Okay, and 1/6 plus 1/6 would be 2/6, which is equal to 1/3. Okay, so down here where it says 1/3, that's the same thing as 2/6. Okay, and just so we don't get confused, because I can see us getting a little bit confused here. So like here, 3/6 is the same thing as 1/2, okay? And that's why I was trying to write down that 1/3 was the same thing as 2/6. So you have to remember your equivalent fractions as well. Okay, so then here's another 1/3. So now we're up to 3/3. So that would be 1 whole mile. Okay, so in a half an hour, she goes a full mile. So in 1 hour, ouch. So then again, so if we keep going with all these thirds, so another 1/3, and another 1/3, and another 1/3. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. Again, she would go 2 miles. So then here, in 2 hours, she would go 4 miles. Okay, so hopefully this picture kind of helps you figure it out a little bit, helps show you that, okay, if she, in 1/6 of an hour, she goes 1/3 of a mile, so if I show that, okay, then to make it a unit rate, to make it 1 full hour, I had to take 6 of these to make that full hour. So then I add 6 of these thirds to figure out my unit rate. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. Well, it looks like I might have skipped part of my activity here. So how do you find Jeff's... Oh, I missed the reflection activity. It looks like it deleted off of here. I apologize about that. So it says, how did you find Jeff's distance for 3/4 of an hour? Okay, well, to find Jeff's distance for 3/4 of an hour, you could take 1/2 and multiply it by 3. So to find this, you could take his rate, which was 1/2, or you could take how far he goes and multiply it by the number of quarters of an hour that he was going to go. Okay, so he was going to go 3 halves, okay, because he was going to go for 3 chunks of 15 minutes. Okay, and number 2, neither hiker was faster. They were both going at the same rate because in 1 hour they both went 2 miles, and in 2 hours they both went 4 miles. Okay, so here we go. While remodeling her kitchen, Angela is repainting. She estimates that she paints 55 square feet every half an hour. So 55 square feet every half hour. Half hour. How many square feet does Angela paint per hour? Okay. So first what we're going to do to figure this out, we're going to determine the units of the rate. Okay, so to do this, we're going to see that the rate, okay, is in square feet, because since the area is in square feet, so we can write it like this, so square feet or square feet. And the time is in hours. Okay, so then the rate, I shouldn't have written so big. So my rate is going to be square feet per hour. And I'm going to write it like this since I'm running out of space here, not as a big blob. Okay, so my rate is going to be how much per time, so square feet per hour. Okay, so second, we're going to find Angela's rate of painting in area painted per time. So what we're going to do first is we're going to write down what we know is what step 2 is saying. So what we know is that the area painted is 55 square feet, and that she did that in half an hour. All right. So now to write this as a rate, I write it in fraction form. So 55 square feet in half an hour. Okay, and again, this is what we call a complex fraction, which you should have seen in your vocabulary that you did first. Okay. Now, to find the unit rate, I have to do a little bit of math, and I have to do math with fractions. And I know we don't like math with fractions, but we have to continue to practice it. Okay, so I have 55, and remember, since it's a fraction, it's like division. So this is like 55 divided by 1/2. Okay, so this is the same thing as saying 55 divided by 1/2, which you should really like, because what that actually means is we're doing 55, so keep, change, flip. So 55, change to multiplication, flip to get the reciprocal. All right, so keep, change, flip. So we have 55 times 2, which gives us 110. So her unit rate is 110 square feet. Now we do have to put it over 1, so we can say 110 square feet per 1 hour. Sorry, I know that looks a little funky because my pen got weird. Or you can write it as 110 square feet per hour, and we don't have to put that 1 in there. Okay. So essentially what we're doing is we're trying to get rid of whatever's on bottom, not get rid of it, but we're trying to turn it into a 1. So you're turning the rate into a division problem, and then turning that taking that division problem, and once you solve it, finding your rate from the division problem. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you try numbers 3 and 4, and what I want you to do is, if you're really struggling, go ahead and jump to 3. And then, we'll go over it, but then I do want you to try 4 on your own. But you need to try them and see how you're doing and not just copy down what I do, all right? And then we'll go back and check your answers. All right, so Paige mows 2/3 acres per hour, and then you should have also gotten 4 ounces per serving. Okay, so how this works is that you have, so she mows 1/6 of an acre per 1/4 of an hour. So it's always what they do per time. Your rate is always something per time. Your time is always going to be on bottom. So then this is always going to turn into a division problem. So 1/6 divided by 1/4. And remember, keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. This turns into, so 1 times 4 is 4, 6 times 1 is 6. And simplified, so yes, we can do it like this and simplify. What I also want you to start working on is that you can do 1/6 times 4 over 1, and you can cross simplify. 6 and 4 are both divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3, and you also get 2/3. Okay, so then now we get 2/3. So this becomes 2/3 acres per hour. Okay, it's the same thing as saying, so doing it this way is the same thing as saying if we would have done 1/6 over 1/4 and divided the top by 1/4 and divided the bottom by 1/4. Sorry, once I get down to the bottom of the page, the pen gets a little crazy. Okay, because we know that this gives us 1, and then based on the math, this gives us 2/3. Okay, so this is 2/3 acres per the 1 hour. Now I do have to erase all this so I can show the math for the next one. So if you need to, pause. All right, so she uses 3 ounces of pasta to make 3 servings. So 3 ounces of pasta per 3/4 of a serving. Again, you can do it like this, divided by 3/4, divided by 3/4, okay? Another way to look at it, you guys, is, so 3 ounces, and that's 3/4 of a serving. Well, 3 ounces, if you draw yourself a picture and think logically, 1, so here's 3/4 of a serving. You need 1 more serving to make a full serving. Here's 1 ounce. Here's 2 ounces. Here's 3 ounces. And this is 3/4 of a serving. And here's your other 1/4. Wouldn't this be 4 ounces? This is how I thought of it. I just kind of thought logically about it, which you can also do. But mathematically, we can divide both sides by 3/4. 3/4 divided by 3/4 gives us 1. Okay, if I do 3 divided by 3/4, keep, Okay, so keep, change, flip. So I have 3 over 1, excuse me, 3 and 3 are both divisible by 3. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. I get 4 over 1, which is 4. And then 4 over 1 is 4. So again, that would be 4 ounces per 1 serving. All right, example number 2. So using unit rates, and we're going to do some comparing. So 2 pools are leaking, and after 15 minutes, pool A has leaked 2/3 of a gallon, and after 20 minutes, pool B has leaked 3/4 of a gallon. Which pool is leaking faster? So first, we're going to find the rate in volume, so gallons per time, hours, and so we're going to find the rate at which each is leaking, and we're going to convert minutes to hours. So for pool A, we have 2/3 gallons in 15 minutes. Now the reason that we're going to change the minutes to hours is because it's going to make it easier for us to work with, because these numbers, the 15 and the 60, it makes things really large. So if we can think of things in terms of fractions, I know it sounds funny, but it makes it a little bit easier for us. So we know 15 minutes is 1/4 of an hour. Okay? And then we have still 2/3 of a gallon. Okay? And then 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour. So actually we have that it leaked 3/4 of a gallon in 20 minutes. Okay, and if I look at a clock, I know that it's 20, 40, 60. So 20 minutes would be 1/3 of an hour. So if you're having trouble, again, draw yourself a picture. That helps me all the time. Okay, so 1/3 of a gallon. I'm sorry, 3/4 of a gallon in 1/3 of an hour. So now we're going to find the unit rates. So in order to do so, again, in this case, I'm not going to be picky in the way that you want to do it. If you want to do it where you say you do so it says to find the unit rates, first rewrite the fractions. I'm not going to be picky. If you want to rewrite it as 2/3 divided by 1/4, go for it. Or if you are comfortable in saying 2/3 over 1/4 and you are in the flow of showing that you divide the top and the bottom by 1/4, and you know that this is 1, and then you show keep, change, flip. If you like that and it's working for you, stick with what works. There is nothing that says everybody has to do it the same way. We're looking for consistency. We're looking for correct answers, okay? Either way, you end up with pool A is losing 2 2/3 gallons in 1 hour, okay? And then pool B, okay, so then pool B would have been, so then if you would have done it this way, you would have gotten 2/3 times 1/4. Oops, I'm sorry, times 4/1, forgot to flip, which would have been 8/3, which would have been 2 2/3. So again, the same thing. So I'll do the same thing for pool B. So for pool B, it was 3/4 divided by 1/3, okay, because you're taking your rate right here, you're changing it to a division problem, which changes to, so keep, change, flip, which changes to 9/4, which equals to 2 1/4 gallons per hour. Or you could have done it the other way like we did up here. You could have shown that it was 3/4 gallons over 1/3 of an hour. Divide by 1/3. Divide by 1/3. Okay, so keep, change, flip, keep, change. 3/1. This would have given you 1. This would have given you 9/4. This would have been 1. I'm running out of space, so bear with me. So this would have been 2 1/4. Whew, barely made it, all right? So now we have to compare. So here we have pool A, and here we have pool B. This one loses 2 1/4 gallons per hour, and pool A loses 2 2/3 gallons per hour. So now we can compare them, and we see that pool A is leaking faster. All right, so here you have 2 tanks that are filling, and you want to see which tank is filling faster. So it's your turn to compare and just do the math and see which one's filling faster. I want you to try it, and when you come back, we'll check your answer. All right, you should have found that the second tank is filling faster, and to find that, you would have done your rates, and I'm just going to show you the division. I'm going to show you the unit rate way, okay? If you're doing the division way, I see that more as like the advanced way, and I feel like you would have gotten the answer right away. So here you would have found that you had 3/4 gallon per 2/3 minute. So since it's already in fraction form, we don't have to worry about it. And our labels are all the same, so we don't have to worry about that either. And then the other one was 5/8 gallon per 1/2 minute. Here I'm dividing by half and dividing by half. Here I get 1. Here I get 5/8 times 2/1. Simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So here I get 5/4. Okay, so this one is losing 1, or is filling 1 1/4. So this is 1 1/4 gallon per 1 minute. So that's how fast the second one is filling. And the first one, I divide by 2/3. Man, I don't like it when this pen doesn't write. I divide by 2/3. I know on bottom I get 1. On top, I keep, change, flip. Can't do any simplification. So I have 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 2 is 8/1. So this one is filling at 1 1/8 gallons per 1 minute. I know that 1/8 is smaller than 1/4. The 1 really doesn't matter. We're comparing the fractions. So again, the second tank is filling faster. I know it seems complicated, but if you slow down and follow the steps, it will start to really become second nature and become a lot easier for you. Right? So what I want you to do is I want you to do the guided practice. You're probably going to need more space to show your work. I did give you space within the book, but if you need more, get papers, staple it to the back. And as always, if you have any questions, please be sure to write them down or email me so we can go over them in class.